Well, alrighty then. Welcome to another episode of Sports Extra. As usual, your host Ruvimbo Chakoreka, joined by a man who is no novice when it comes to sporting action, particularly on the domestic scene. Brian Matamba. Now, Brian, interesting show that we have today. Quite a few things to be talking about. We've got our Warriors, obviously, who are going to be discussing their draw against Kenya, and obviously looking forward to the match against Cameroon. That is tomorrow evening. And then, more importantly,
the SOGO Rangers will ask your team to come and join you and celebrate what's been an outstanding football performance all the way through this 2024 Shake it.
We're also going to be taking a look at what happened on the domestic scene in terms of cricket. SOGO Rangers beating the much more fancy Takashinga. What went right? What went wrong? What needs to be improved and all that. Great Zimbabwe Marathon is also going to be coming up in October, so that is also going to be very good. On the international scene, well, Springboks,
they're dominating.
Geez, Rasi Rasmus, how do you deal with that guy? And then, of course, we're going to take a Premier League preview and special focus on the North London derby coming up this weekend. So all this and so much more right here on Sports Extra. We take a short break, and when we come back, we dig in. All right, welcome back to Sports Extra. And Brian, let's start off with our football. And our Warriors, I don't know, what do we call it? A disappointing, or that is the best that we could have expected considering the time that Michael Nees started his job?
I think the problem we have had with the Warriors for the last probably 8 games, they've had a new coach every 2 games. There's no consistent. So even when they played against Kenya, you could see there's no cohesion in the team. Everything was all over the place. They tried towards the end of the game when they brought in Mashwani. You could see a bit of combinations, when they took out even Walthamson. The team was playing a bit better towards the end with Zemura linking up with Mashwani. And, you could tell it was getting a bit better, but let's see how they play against Cameroon. But I think it's work in progress. We should not expect much from this team. I think probably we should expect so much since we're no longer changing the coach. Game number 4, when we play the next international break, I think that's when we need to start having an expectation over this team.
All right, and okay, I hear that. Here's my general consensus. We are still struggling with the simple basics in terms of our game. I understand a new coach has come in. Let's give comparisons. Maybe our comparisons are too far-fetched. But hey, if we want to be the best, we have to compare ourselves against the best. So Hansi Flick leaves Germany, right? Julian Nagelsmann steps in. In terms of goal-scoring capability, you saw that whoever was up front for Germany did continue to score. Because those are the basics that a striker or a forward must have in football. Here we've got a challenge where the likes of Kama Billiat, who's one of the top goal scorers in our local PSL, he wasn't able to score. We had the Douglas Mafumo, who I'm still wondering why he's in the side. His last stint out, he only had 4 goals in 26 games. That was the last season. This season, haven't yet heard much. That already shows that he's blunt in front of goal. Tawanda Chirewa, of course,
there's a bit of color.
He
enjoyed himself.
You know,
that not the Chile we saw against Bafana.
You see, there you go. So that also speaks a lot to how we are as Zimbabwean. We can't score at the moment. The last time we had a 20-plus goal scorer was Norman Maroto, who unfortunately we buried a month or two ago.
Yes.
Now, these are some of the things that we're talking about. That is Zimbabwe in a position, even if Michael needs is to say, guys, this is the structure, this is the system, this is how we pass, this is how we go forward. Can we score?
Yeah, you make a valid point that we're struggling for a striker. Actually, the last proper striker we had for Warriors was Knowledge Nsola.
Yeah.
He was the most efficient and had a good strike rate, you know. But otherwise, since his retirement, we have failed to find a proper number 9 as a national team.
Yeah, so does it come back to grassroots development or what?
I think it comes back to grassroots because the fact that in the league we're not getting a 20-plus goal scorer per season, it means we're lacking something just in the local league. Because we cannot expect to produce results at senior level when you're failing at club level.
Agreed, 100% on that. So let's quickly move on from, yes, Kenya draw, that's it. Coming up against Cameroon, Cameroon did themselves a favor. Vincent Abubakar scoring against Namibia in that 1-0 win. They obviously come in with better confidence and have a better record against Zimbabwe. So just looking at some statistics, and I found out that the last time that Zimbabwe beat Cameroon was in 1995. That is approximately 29 years ago. And we beat them by 4-1. An emphatic victory then. That is obviously courtesy of the dream team that we had under Reinhard, you know, and the company. And then the last time we scored quite a number of goals against Cameroon was in that 2004 Africa Cup of Nations, our first time qualifying. And we lost by 5-3 in what was an interesting encounter, and obviously we all remember that bullet by Ezra Nyandoro to the top corner. Arguably the best goal, I would argue, that has ever been scored by Warriors. The best goal. But anyway, against Cameroon, what's our chances?
I think our chances are very slim, let's be honest. Cameroon is ranked higher than us. Given by the record head-to-head, they've had our number. And also given the quality of players, of people who are on that side, they've got more players playing in Europe than Zimbabwe, you know. So just given on quality, cohesion, consistency and history, I don't think we stand a chance. The best we can expect from this is more if the team plays better, as much as if we're going to lose. But if the team starts to show a bit of structure, you know, then I think we won't take the defeat as a heavy one.
Yeah, well, hopefully that won't be the case. I hope for the Warriors that at least they can eke out a draw, even if it's a new old draw. I'll be a happy camper, and then maybe try to see what we can do in the other qualifying stint that we'll then have. So in any case, I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments as well. Do you think that the Warriors do have it within their system in order to slay the indomitable Lions, whom they will meet tomorrow in Uganda, in Kampala, at the Nelson Mandela Stadium? A beautiful turf, beautiful stadium. Kudos to the Ugandans for that fantastic stadium. We also saw it during the rugby, so well done to them. And obviously we're going to look forward to that particular match. But let's quickly move over to cricket now. Now we've got something interesting that was happening on the local scene, where the MPL T20 Blast came to an end over the weekend. Was privileged enough to have actually commentated in that one. And Brian, one of the amazing things that happened in that final was that SOGO Rangers beat Takashinga Patriots 1. A star-studded Takashinga Patriots 1 at that. I mean, you're talking of the captain, Roy Kaya. He has donned the Zimbabwean colors. You're talking about the star-studded batting lineup. Sikandar Raza has just come from international, franchise duty. Came and slotted into the side. The veteran Hamilton Masaka, Timson Maruma, young stars rising in the likes of Emmanuel Bauer and so on. All of this could not overhaul a SOGO Rangers who are very, very determined.
I think SOGO Rangers have been the informed team. If you look at the whole tournament, they beat Takashinga 3 times, the whole tournament. So they've had Takashinga's number. And in general, the main reason why they won this tournament, they were the most organized and the most hungriest team in the NPL.
And talk about some of the youth as well that they were adding in the side. I saw youngsters such as Cole Villian, son to Dirk Villian, who's current Zimbabwe cricket general manager for cricket affairs. We also saw the likes of Luke Banzao. He's one of the premium fast bowlers for Hellenic. Unfortunately, his side lost at St. George's, but we'll be hoping that they can turn fortunes around in the Ram Slam tournament, which is coming up as well over the weekend. But the composition of the side reeked more of some youth, some youngsters who we've been looking to as donning the national team jersey and so on. Do you think that they made a strong statement?
No, they did, because they got the balance right. They had youth and experience. Because experience, you had your Brad Evans, you had the Jono Campbell, you had your Welch in the side. So you had experienced players and you had upcoming talent. So they got the balance right. I think that's what made them stand out throughout the season.
And I think what was also more important was the fact that they were then able to take the batter of the tournament as well as the most valuable player of the tournament, and that was courtesy of Jaden Shadendorf. He scored a ton of runs, almost got to 400 runs throughout the tournament, which was really good. Yeah, and he was one of the Centurion scorers. He had the highest score, 110, that he scored within the tournament. I caught up with him after that particular game and got into the mind of how the composition of the team was and ultimately what they were looking to achieve.
Look, when we came together as a side, we agreed on 3 things. The first one being, it's our first tournament, let's go out there and let's enjoy ourselves for one. Let's have fun, enjoy ourselves. If we make a mistake or we mess up, drop back, whatever, just smile and enjoy where you are. And what Zimbabwe Cricket has given us the opportunity to take part in a national Premier League like this. So that was our main thing. And yeah, just to enjoy each other's company. Obviously, we've had some world-class players playing for us, some of the national guys, and just for the youngsters to come around and to feed off of what they've been able to do, and to stage on where they're going as well. Just a lot of advice as well.
All right, and your own personal goals, you coming out as the batter of the tournament, what was your own personal goal as well, coming in as a batsman, growing your own game?
Yeah, look, I really struggled in my domestic season, and I really wanted to come out here and sort of just try and make a statement of where I've come from. I worked really hard on my game. I definitely didn't expect the results that I've gotten. I know, obviously, I put a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and yeah, I didn't put a lot of pressure or any expectation on myself. I've just tried to come out here and enjoy myself and just do the best that I can, that I'm qualified for, yeah.
And how beautiful was the blend of youth as well as some of the experience that you have in there to bring out the chemistry of the winning side?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. All the senior guys that we've had, all the national players, to have the youngsters that are coming through school at Hellenic, and we've also had obviously just youngsters that are just out of school as well to feed off of their knowledge, their expertise of the game. And we saw innings yesterday of Sean Williams, the day before that. Just guys to feed off how we batted. Obviously Ryan Burrell's contribution to the change room and things like that, and yeah, it's been fantastic. And all the senior guys who have come into the side have been just completely giving towards all the youngsters. Yeah, we've all fed off them.
All right then.
Well, so that was Jaden Shadendorf saying I was out here to enjoy my cricket, to make a statement and a point, because he didn't have the greatest of domestic seasons, but here he is. He brought out the guns.
No, he brought out the guns. He was the best batsman in the tournament, and you would see he was playing what we call fearless cricket, the way he batted throughout the tournament. So he really deserved being the better of the tournament. Even you say the stats, close to 400 rands. in a tournament like this, that's just super impressive. I don't want to lie to you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Another man that we need to be quickly talking about here is the coach himself, Ryan Maron. Now, Ryan Maron, I didn't know too much about him up until I dug a little bit of research around the man. The man has also been within the structures of Afghanistan cricket. Pretty much brought them to some of the levels and standards that they're in right now. Has also been part of the South African cricket development system for a very, very long time. So he's a man who's got 20 plus years experience in terms of cricket development, coaching at the highest level, being part of technical teams, and apparently he brought some of that professionalism to SOGO.
No, you could tell that there's no substitute for experience. He's a very seasoned coach, and you could see some of the quality in him. Whilst you see in the players play, you would see that he's created a cricket culture at SOGO Rangers. And right now, if let's say he stays on board again next season, probably SOGO Rangers might dominate this league for the next 3, 4, 5 years at this rate, because it's the quality and the culture is brought. Because SOGO Rangers, their first season, it's a new team, but he has managed to bring the cricket culture and play that fearless cricket.
And more importantly, a winning culture, because they only lost once to Westside Cricket Club. Westside were not able to then finally make it to the final rounds, but they also had a relatively decent season with some 1 or 2 standout players. But what I have appreciated about the NPL T20 Blast is many of the youngsters that came in. It was good to see the likes of the Ronak Patels, who are still at Hellenic, being in there, the Ryan Kamwempas, who played the Under-19 Cricket World Cup right in there, Panashe Taruvinga as well. He was part of that Under-19 side as well. Matthew Skonken, he was part of the SOGO Rangers, and also bowled very, very well within the final as a leg spinner. So it shows you that there's a lot of bright and upcoming talent, and will maybe even force the selectors to start re-looking at the core group of players that they have and begin to add more to the fringes. But even like as you were seeing in our discussion, look at how they were warming up, look at how they were preparing. Even the likes of Takashinga Patriots, you know, everybody was right up there for the final, but it went to SOGO Rangers. So anyway, let's take a bit of a short break. When we do come back, we continue with more sporting action. All right, welcome to this next segment within Sports Extra. Brian Matamba joining me, and don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe, to comment. All of our social media platforms, we're there. We've just gotten onto TikTok. Some of us are dinosaurs, but we're now on TikTok, and
moving with technology,
moving with time. But you can also catch up with us on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as on X, which is formerly Twitter. And you know, we're there putting out some content for you. Make sure that you give us a comment, tell us what you would love to hear on the show, and we'll try by all means to feature it. And so moving on to what we're talking about now is the Great Zimbabwe Marathon, which is going to be coming up in October. Now, I met up with the organizer, the founding organizer, Lauren Chari, as well as a professional long-distance runner in Royal Mabika. He's been doing very well. He's based in the United Arab Emirates, has been connecting with a lot of runners, and they gave us a little bit of insight as to how this particular marathon began.
Okay, so the Great Zimbabwe Marathon, as the name suggests, it's a Masvingo event. So the main reason why we chose to go to Masvingo is, number one, because we are from Masvingo, and both of us are from Masvingo. So when we thought about the idea of the Great Zimbabwe Marathon, I'm a long distance runner myself, though I'm not at a professional level, I'm a social runner. So we've been to many places going for marathons. We've gone to Nyanga, Manicaland, we've gone to Victoria Falls. All the major cities in Zimbabwe, they've got a run going on. And those are very popular runs, but there was nothing back home. So I said to myself, as a captain of a club, East TV Elite Running Club, why not try to start something back home? That's when we then came up with the idea of having the Great Zimbabwe Marathon, and no name was befitting. It just had to be the Great Zimbabwe Marathon because it's going to be great. It's going to be one of Zimbabwe's greatest marathon as well.
All right, so let's put things in perspective. You're in the 4th year. Next year will be 5.
Yes.
And generally in the 4 years, how has the participation generally grown in terms of the number, the runners that have come through, and even just the quality of runners that have come through as well?
Okay, one thing that I have noticed is the southern region is not very active in sports. I think it's something that we are also working on trying to change. It's the culture, the fitness culture in that region. So when we started in 2021, we had more runners coming from Harare going to run in Masvingo. And we had less than 50 runners from Masvingo that were taking part. And I'm talking of an audience of 300 runners. But as we continue to do the run, we have seen the numbers grow. And this year we had an Africa Day run, which was exclusively for Masvingo runners. I promise you we had more than 200 runners who came forward to run. So it also shows the growth of the interest in the region. It also shows the participation even at corporate level, because we also had companies sending people to come and run. So as we continued to grow, as we continue to move with the Great Zimbabwe Marathon, we are also seeing growth in participation, both from social runners, from companies that are taking part through sponsorships, through sending runners to come and take part. So yeah, we are very optimistic that we're going to get there. Yeah.
So interesting there, Brian. A marathon brought to Masvingo, and now beginning to go into the aspect of sports tourism. We've spoken about how sport is a business, sport is an industry. How important do you think this particular marathon will be just for the city of Masvingo and beyond?
I think it's necessary because already we have the Vic Falls Marathon, and the Vic Falls Marathon is quite a big thing on the Zimbabwean sporting calendar. A lot of people look forward to it, and it brings a lot of tourism. People even fly from different parts of the world just to come and attend the Vic Falls Marathon. So it's great. It's a great thing for Masvingo, given that that's where Great Zimbabwe is. So it can bring some sort of tourism and life for a weekend into Masvingo town.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And we're wishing them the very best of luck, and hopefully we'll also be down there as a sports extra. They said I might just be able to go and see Great Zimbabwe. You know, I've only visited that place once, twice. I would love to go back again. It's such a fantastic place to visit, and now there are so many activities. Kokwemkosi Dam, Lake Utility, that's there, and so on. So great places for you to actually go and enjoy yourself. Now let's move on from there and go quickly now onto the international scene and start off with rugby. Now, Brian, it was a good weekend for the Springboks. Good weekend for you. I know you love the Springboks with all your heart. I'm an All Blacks fan, but right now we're in serious trouble. Scott Razor Robertson, is the level too far, or is he still getting into the thick of things? And maybe can we say that the fixture list has not been too kind?
Well, I wouldn't blame the fixture list, and I don't think he's out of his depth. He's actually a quality coach, and he's good. But I think what's affecting right now the All Blacks is their policy of not picking anyone who's playing outside New Zealand. Because if you look at Mackenzie, I don't think Mackenzie is the proper 10 they need as All Blacks. They actually are missing an X factor. If you've noticed over the years when New Zealand has dominated, they always had that 10 with an X factor. You had your Carlos Spencer, you had your Daniel Carter, you had your Rich Maonga. So they're missing that X factor. Right now, the way they're playing, it's too obvious. I wouldn't say too obvious as per se, but it's not the All Blacks we know, where they can hit you from nowhere. You know, that X factor is lacking in the All Blacks.
And more importantly, I found it very difficult as they were playing. When I saw the starting lineup, I felt it was quite experimentative. I maybe just had an idea of what Robertson was trying to do. He said Will Jordan at fullback, and then he put in Sivu Reese, Reiko Ioane in there with Damian McKenzie, Jody Barrett as well, right in there. So, and Mark Telea. So looking at Mark Telea, Reiko Ioane and Sivu Reese, wide players, literally. And the Will Jordan to be coming in as a 15, he's a wide player. You would expect him to be out of position 3/4 of the time because he's used to playing at the wing. We saw what he would do playing for the Crusaders as well in seasons gone by under Scott Robertson. Very lethal winger and lethal finisher. So I thought maybe he was going to use a double pivot in Damian McKenzie and Jody Barrett, who have played at fullback before, even on franchise level, to try and rotate who would be there to clear up and things like that. But it felt more like as if All Blacks were playing into Springboks game, trying to also go for the hits and the physicality. All Blacks, we know you to run the ball, the dummies, the side steps, the running lines and things like that. Where has that rugby gone?
Probably they played into Rassie Erasmus's game plan is trapped.
The mind games, man.
Because if you look at Rassie, she's been chopping and changing the whole championship. He has not named back-to-back saying 15. You know? So probably the All Blacks were caught in between, playing their natural game and trying to neutralize the Springboks. So probably maybe trying to neutralize the Springboks, that's when they ended up being too physical. Yet it's not in their DNA. They don't play that rugby. They don't bash.
Yeah, so I didn't understand. But anyway, it was a much closer contest, I would say, this weekend. At one point, they actually led. But as you know, Springboks find a way of scoring. And through the likes of Sia Kolisi and ultimately at the end through Malcolm Marx being able to bury that particular game. So they've won it. They've won the rugby championship. There's no discussion around it. And
athletically they have not. But realistically, they just need one win.
It's done. I mean, Argentina are not going to beat Springboks by a bonus point. It's not going to happen. And despite them obviously beating Australia very significantly, Australia are in serious turmoil. Is this not the time for Zabos to play Australia?
Wallabies. Should we call them Wallabies or Wallabies?
Wallabies. They're being walloped to left, right and center. But look, I guess every team has to go through that particular...
Probably it's a phase because at one time Australia, when they had your Matt Kitter, Steve Larkham, George Griggin, they were
Tune and so on. Yeah,
they were a team to beat. But of lately, they're suffering a lot. And right now, like rugby union within Australia is losing a lot of talent to other codes, like your Australian Football League, your Australian Rugby League and cricket. So they're losing a lot of talent. They're bleeding a lot of talent. And even at franchise level, you could see that your Brumbies, your Western Force are struggling with Super Rugby. So they're really in a deep sort of problem. And I don't know how they're going to solve it because this thing is not going to be fixed overnight, the Australian problems.
Well, here's my general feeling. Here's a plan out there. You can hire me as the director of rugby. Australia, in my view, has to try and squeeze their way into the United Rugby Championship. Play against the South African side. That is the only way, because you're playing arguably against the best. If you play against the Stormers, the Sharks, you play against the Blue Bulls, the Lions, you're playing against some of the best. And then obviously you're also going to mix up with the likes of the Leinsters, the Munsters and so on. I think that would be the best way forward for them right now, because I don't think out there in the cold, in the Oceania region, that they're going to do anything, because they'll be easily dominated by New Zealand style. And that is also another thing that I believe that New Zealand also has to somehow, some way squeeze themselves back into a South African setup, or maybe into some European rugby setup, to try and add a different flavor as to what they are exposed to.
Yeah, because they're dominating that Super Rugby.
Yeah, and it's now become worthless, I would say. Yeah, I mean, close to score lines, but it's because you've been playing the same guy over the last 4 or 5 years. So you know exactly how they play and what they do. So anyway, those are my suggestions. I don't know what your thoughts are, particularly as rugby fans. Where do you think that this one needs to go? Anyway, we're going to take a quick short break. When we come back, we seal the show off with the Premier League preview. North London Derby coming up. All righty then. So let's talk about the Premier League.
Premier League.
It has been a nightmare for Man United. A dream start for Liverpool.
And a slow.
Right in the slot.
Yeah.
So he's doing very well. I don't know. The day he loses, guys, on this show, I'll be going all out. But anyway, at the moment, he's showing that he's a Dutch manager of high quality and doing the business. But let's talk about the biggest game that will be there on the weekend of the 15th of September. That is Arsenal taking on Tottenham Hotspur. Others will say, Tottenham was there to write home about. But I feel Ange Postecoglou, Ange Ball has got something going on there.
Yes.
And if they do come right on a particular day, they can cause a serious problems. Should Mikel Arteta be afraid of this North London derby?
He should be afraid because it's a derby. Whenever it's a derby, the form book is thrown out of the window. And the history between Arsenal and Tottenham, they're only separated by a road. It's one street.
Yeah.
So the fierce rivalry between the two teams will naturally kick in. It's who owns the north of London. So just looking tactically, Tottenham still have a decent side. Let's not write them off. They're not a terrible side. You got your son. Yes, they lost Harry Kane, but they still have quality in their team.
Yeah, well, my general feeling is that somehow, some way, it's early days, but somehow, some way, I feel like Mikel Arteta has put a bit more gusto within the side. That win against Aston Villa for me was a clutch win, and you need clutch wins if you are going to challenge for the title. He will obviously be in the conversation once again this season. He scored so many goals last season as a side, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. They lost key games. The game against Aston Villa, the draw against Manchester City away, and then rather the draw on home turf, and then losing away to Manchester City. That was a key in their title chase, and ultimately they lost out. But I feel that Arsenal in this time, they've got, as they would say in our local language, Arsenal. So maybe that might just give them an edge over Tottenham.
Probably, because if you look at Arteta, she's added a bit of quality to the side, on already a quality side, because they've been the only team that has pushed Manchester City all the way the last 2 seasons. So they've been a title chasing side. So, but you look at the signings they did off season, you can now see that they might go all the way. But just bringing this game and analyzing closer, I tip them to beat Tottenham.
All right. Well, obviously, Tottenham will be looking at some players who have found some rejuvenation at the likes of Yves Bissouma right there in the heart of midfield. Obviously, Son right up front. The new man, Dominic Solanke, he has to start scoring the goals because that's what he was bought for. The Mickey van der Vens with the pace, Destiny Odogu, some of the quality that he adds there is Papasa. I feel that those are some of the players that will be very key for Tottenham to move forward. Whilst on the Arsenal side, I think the general feeling is that a lot of it revolves around Martin Odegaard. That he is the man who has to, pull the strings in the middle of the park and make things happen. But here's my feeling. Magashamsa Kai Havertz, guys. I don't feel like that guy is a goal scorer. He's not guys. He's not a goal scorer. I would much rather prefer Gabriel Jesus because at least he adds more in terms of providing assists, in terms of pulling away defenders and providing more space for the likes of Leandro Trossard to come in and score goals. That's my general point.
And Saka coming from the other wing.
Yes, exactly. So those are the kinds of things that I would see maybe, just maybe, might give Arsenal that little bit of edge in the North London derby. But I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments. Some of the other games are, Manchester United facing Southampton. The expectation is that we win, but who knows? The Mafan is that relegation threatened side already. Ten Hag is zero hag at the moment. He continues to play Casemiro, but maybe the hope is that Manuel Ugarte will fix that central defensive midfielder crisis in the middle of the park. But still, with the way that he leaves that midfield so vacated, I would feel that Ugarte will also be tired out.
He will be exposed.
But in any case, as for Liverpool, you're happy clappy at the moment?
Yeah, we're happy. Before that tough run of fixtures in October, it is not looking good, where we are back-to-back Champions League and the top teams, your Aston Villa, your City, your Chelsea, and your Arsenal. But for now, Arne Slot has slotted well, and I'm looking forward for another win.
Well, let's see whether they get that other win. Remember, I'll be the first to celebrate if they lose. But you can also come through with your thoughts and your comments. We've come to the end of Sports Extra for today. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts are. Of course, some of the other sports that you'd like us to cover and delve into. But from me, Ruvimbo Chakoreka, Brian Matamba.
Thanks for having me, remember?
Cheerio.